so convinced of it that they pack up everything and head out across the desert on an incredible road trip. They, unlike me, were driving in style. I was in a Mazda. They were on some really nice decked out camels. And they head out across the land, across the desert, following the star. We don't know how many of them are. Every picture you've seen, every greeting card has 3. That's purely speculation because they brought 3 gifts, gold, frankincense, and myrrh. The Bible never says if there was 3 or 300. We don't know. The Bible also shows you usually with the 3 men standing there in the manger scene right there, which also is an accurate because this happened after Jesus was born. Probably they were in a house by this point, lived in Bethlehem. So they start taking off. Anyway, they start traveling. They're following the star. They're having a great time. They've left home, they've left their wives, they've left their children, they've left everything. It's a guide trip. Yeah. TJ, take note of this. Boot camp this year, road trip next year. Okay? Don't matter. Doesn't matter. Just follow the star, baby. We're men. We don't actually have to ask for directions. We can just go. Again, we're men. We won't ask directions, but we will follow a GPS wherever she leads us. We don't understand. So I'll think, men will go to the Waffle House. That's a great idea. Go to the south.
Never go to Waffle House.
And they take off and they head into Jerusalem. Now, Matthew chapter 2, verse 1. Jesus was born in Bethlehem in Judea during the reign of King Herod. About that time, some wise men from eastern lands arrived in Jerusalem asking, "Where is the newborn King of the Jews? We saw his stars at rose, and we've come to worship him." So let's just step back and put ourselves in the middle of this picture, okay? A little while before Jesus was born. When Jesus was born, a bunch of angels appeared in the sky, and they sang, "Wow, hallelujah!" And people went, "Wow!" The shepherds went, "Wow, that's so cool!" And they went and found the manger where Jesus was. Bethlehem's not that far from Jerusalem, so this story more than likely traveled. So at some point there comes a story that hits Jerusalem and all the people that says, these shepherds saw some angels that said that God has come. Now the priests at this point have had to make a decision. Okay, the priests are supposed to be the people that have the in with God. They're the ones that are supposed to, know God and have the messages from people. Shepherds are the lowest of the low of the blue-collar workers. They're the bottom of the food chain. I don't want to name jobs because you might want to be offended if I say something, but they're the bottom of the bottom on the food chain. And so the priests are like, I've got to make a decision because if we say that God appeared to some shepherds and not to us, then we lose all validity. In fact, God wouldn't talk to shepherds because it doesn't make any sense. They're dirty and smelly, and they don't have any learning, and they don't know the scriptures that well, so that couldn't have happened. So they blow the whole thing up. It's not true. It's not real. Now, after that excitement has died down, suddenly these wise men show up with the same story, verse 2. Well, there's the people, Jesus is born. Now the priests are really backed into a corner because if they say, "Oh, we were wrong," then in their mind they're saying, "We're losing all validity. We're now getting thrown on the trash heap." And so they're ignoring it, but this thing sets the whole city in an uproar. Enter our next character. Verse 3. King Herod was deeply disturbed when he heard this, as was everyone in Jerusalem. Now, if you lived in that day, you knew King Herod should not be deeply disturbed. Okay? King Herod is a historical figure. This country of Israel is divided into 4 political sections. He was elected by the Roman Senate as the king of all 4 of them. He was nominated by the Roman Senate as the king of the Jews. Let that phrase sink into your head. You can hear it a few times. As the king of the Jews. He had adopted Judaism. He had adopted Judaism, called himself a Jew, had overseen the reconstruction of the Jewish temple, which was huge and beautiful and wonderful, and lived in this really weird relationship with the Jews because he knew that their happiness brought his power. At the same time, he was incredibly scared that anyone was going to take his power, was incredibly disturbed, probably dealt with some severe depression, and possibly even manic depressive. was completely phobic that someone was going to take over for him. Killed some of his own family, his wife and child. Was incredibly terrified that anyone would take the power from him. Was so obsessed. This is sad, but incredibly funny. He was so obsessed with his own legacy that he said when he died, he decreed that with the day he died, that many other noble people, and he made a whole list of distinguished men, were to be killed the same day that he died because he was afraid that no one would mourn for him. And so he had a lot of other people, so there would be the proper level of mourning going on the day he died. This is not a man that you should have deeply disturbed. And so these men come in and listen to their words, going back up in chapter 2 in the book of Matthew. Where is the newborn King of the Jews? That's my title. This doesn't sit well. I'm the King of the Jews by decree of the Roman Senate. And he becomes a bit ticked off. So he calls them, brings them in, and he brings the priest in. Where is the Messiah supposed to be born? Now this is embarrassing.